conference. We'll go ahead and start with a roll call this morning. Sherelle, can you assist us with roll call, please?
Yes, Chair. Good morning, Law and Order Committee members and everyone listening in on the call. Roll call for the Law and Order Committee 24th Navajo Nation Council regular meeting, December 20, 2021. Honorable Madam Chair Eugenia James Newton.
I am present.
Honorable Madam Chair Charles Newton is present. Honorable Vince James. Honorable Vince James.
Yeah.
Honorable
Delegate James present.
Honorable Vince James is present. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Otto So.
I am present.
Honorable Otto So is present. Honorable Edmund Yazi. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Edmund Yazi. Honorable Madam Chair Charles Newton, you have 3 members present, which constitutes a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that, Sherelle. We'll go ahead and proceed forward here at this time for invocation. If there are no objections, I'd like to lead the invocation at this time this morning. We pray to you here at this time. We ask that you look down upon us, that you forgive us here for our sins. Forgive us for the frustration and the anger that we feel, and then most importantly, forgive us here at this time for being impatient and not waiting for you to act on behalf of us. We pray to you here, God, we ask that you look down upon us and that you help us each and every day. We thank you for all your wonderful blessings. We thank you for coming into our life, for coming into our home, for watching over us, for keeping us safe the way that you do. We thank you for everything that you've done for us, for standing beside us as you guide us, for standing before us as you take care of us, and behind us as well. We thank you at this time for all of your blessings, those that are good, that we're always so willing to accept, and then those that are not good sometimes, but that are a part of our lives. We pray to you here at this time that whatever our blessings are, that they help us to grow, that they help us to be strong, that they help us to continue to move on. We thank you here at this time for everything that you've blessed us with, for our home, for our animals, for our cars, for our lives, most especially for allowing us to be able to get up here once again on this day, to be able to breathe this air and to be able to feel good the way that we're feeling right now, to be able to remember that we're human and understanding. We thank you here at this time for allowing us to have all of that here in our lives. Everything that's happening with us here today, everything that we're thinking about, everything that we need to accomplish, we ask that you help us to be successful here today. And then we pray here at this time for our families, for all of our relatives, for all of our community members, for all of our neighbors, for all of our friends. We pray for them here at this time, that you help them, especially during this season where we're supposed to be almost giving on your behalf. God, we pray to you here at this time that you help us to be able to get through this time, to be able to remember all of the good blessings that we have in our life, even down to the smallest blessings. We pray to you here at this time that you help us to remember all of that. We pray to you at this time, God, the only way that we know how, we put all of our worries, all of our needs, all of our wants in your hands, and we ask you to take care of it, because we know that only you can handle it. We pray to you this way. Anything that we might have forgotten, anything that we're thinking about, anything that I didn't pray about, I pray to you here at this time that you take care of all of that here for us. We pray to you this way in your name this morning. Amen. Okay, so with that, we're going to move down to item number 2, recognizing guests and visiting officials. We currently have 3 members of the Law and Order Committee who are on the line. Has Delegate Eugene So joined the call? Not hearing anything. Has Delegate Edmund Yazi joined the call? Not hearing anything. We'll go ahead and proceed forward. Do we have any other delegates who are on the line?
This is Delegate Wanika.
Good morning, Delegate Winika. Thank you for being on the call this morning. Do we have any other delegates on the line? Delegate Winika, would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair, and committee members. I appreciate being on the agenda this morning. My name is Edison Winika Doan Slinike Ya Ashin Slota Basis Chin. Doki Ani Desichedo Torich National. I represent Oak Springs and St. Michael's as a council delegate here for the committee members and all those who are listening. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Delegate Winika. Do we have any other delegates on the line? Not hearing anything. I'd like to ask, do we have anybody from Speaker's office on the line?
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the Law and Order Committee, staff, guests. This is Nikita Kurt, Office of the Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikita. Do we have anybody from Judicial Branch on the line?
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the Law and Order Committee and Delegate Winika and those that are on the line. My name is Joanne Jane. Thank you very much. The Judicial Branch is on the line to make a report to the Law and Order Committee. It deals with the efforts that the Law and Order Committee has done with the Veterans Courts and other initiatives. And this morning, there is a presentation that will be given by Ms. Regina Begay-Roanhorse, who is the court administrator from Tohajale, and she's a court administrator for Tohajale and Alamo, and then acting right now for Crown Point. So thank you very much, Madam Chair and members of the Law and Order Committee.
Thank you for that, Chief Justice. Would you like to have your administration introduce themselves at this time?
Yes, thank you very much. And they will be given the report today for individuals that did not hear my remarks or my comments at the beginning that due to a commitment that I have to take care of, that I will stay on the line for as much as possible. Yeah, thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone.
Judicial Branch Administration, go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Regina Begay-Roanhorse. I am a court administrator for Alamo Judicial District, Tohajale Judicial District, Crown Point Judicial District, and Pueblo Pintado Judicial District. I got assigned to assist Judge Livingston in Crown Point, Pueblo Pintado in November. My clan, my introduction in Navajo is Sheya Ashin Shlon Sena Bete Bashichin Kiani Edish Che, the Betlishin Edashnele. I am a veteran. I have been honorably discharged in 1998 as a captain in the Ordnance Corps. So I served in the U.S. Army in that capacity. And so I'm going to be giving you a presentation on the work that I was doing for the past almost 11 years in developing specialty courts. They're called healing to wellness courts. They can be called drug courts. They can be called problem-solving courts, mental health courts, or even veterans treatment courts.
Ms. Roanhorse, this is just an introduction. So just your name, your clan, and where you come from.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were going with the presentation. Thank you.
Ayate Bene, Shay Stephen Net City Deshijine, Administrative Director of the Courts in Shle, Aro Done, Twohe Glini Nishle, Ashihe Edishije, Twitchini Edishanella, Twitsotni Edishiche, Adnenshle. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. This is Karen Francis, Office of the Chief Justice. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Do we have anybody from the Office of Legislative Counsel on the line?
Good morning, Law and Order Committee. This is Dana Bobroff, Chief Legislative Counsel.
Good morning, Ms. Barbara. Do we have anybody from Office of Legislative Services on the line?
Good morning, Madam Chair. This is Lorraine Spencer. I'm on the call. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair. This is Sherelle Nota with Office of Legislative Services as well. I'm on the call.
Thank you for that. Do we have anybody from the Office of the President and Vice President on the line? Not hearing anything. Is there anybody else who'd like to introduce themselves at this time?
Good morning, Jesse Delman.
Go ahead, Division Director Delmar.
Introduction, ma'am. I'm here too as well with Dale West from Criminal Investigations.
Thank you,
Yes,
Director
good morning,
Delmar. Go ahead, Mr. West.
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair. This is Dale West, Criminal Investigations Supervisor.
Is there anybody else who'd like to introduce themselves at this time?
Good morning, Madam Chair. This is Recita Toddy with the Department of Personnel Management. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to introduce themselves at this time?
Good morning, Madam Chair. This is Chris Cascoli with EMS. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So with that, committee members, we'll go ahead and proceed forward.
Do I go ahead and go?
So we'll proceed forward to the next item on the agenda, which is the review and adopt the agenda. Committee members, we'll go ahead and have the agenda read into the record. Lorraine, can you read the agenda into the record, please?
Yes, Madam Chair. Thank you, members of the Law and Order Committee. Agenda of the Law and Order Committee, 24th Nomination Council, regular meeting through telecommunication, December 20th, 2021, 10 a.m. Presiding Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton, Chairwoman. Honorable Altaso, Vice Chairperson. 1, call meeting to order, roll call and invocation. Number 2, recognize guests and visiting officials. Number 3, review and adopt agenda. Number 4, review and adopt the journals. There's 1 journal, December 13, 2021. 5, receiving reports. A, report from Honorable Edison J. Wanika, Council Delegate from Oak Springs and St. Michael's chapters regarding reports of the nomination. B, report from Joanne Jane, Chief Justice, nomination, Judicial Branch relating to the Veterans Treatment Court, and Regina Miguel Rollhorse, MLS Healthcare Law Court Administrator, Twahaji Lake District Court regarding problem-solving courts. C, report from Jesse Delmar, Executive Director, Division of Public Safety, and Michael Henderson, Director, Criminal Investigation Department on the medical examiner position. 6, old business none. 7, new business. A, discussion on assigning special prosecutor. 8, close the meeting, announcement and adjournment. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that, Lorraine. So with that, committee members, can I get a motion and a second?
Chairman, motion, got a good drink.
Motion made by Honorable Vince James, second by Vice Chair Otto Stowe. So with that, committee members, are there any questions, comments, or any amendments that need to be made to the agenda at this time? Not hearing anything, we'll go ahead and proceed forward. So we'll go ahead and move forward to the vote. Cheryl, can you assist us with the roll call vote, please?
Honorable Vince James, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote? Honorable Otto So, how do you vote?
Vote green.
Honorable Otto So votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazi, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Edmund Yazi votes green. Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote? Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote? Honorable Madam Chair Charles Newton, you have 3 in favor, 0 opposed, 2 not voting, which is including Honorable Madam Chair Charles Newton not voting, and Honorable Eugene So not voting, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that, Cheryl. So with that, we're going to go ahead and proceed forward. The agenda has been adopted. To item number 4, review and adopt the journals. We do have a journal for December 13th, 2021. Cheryl, when did you send that out to the committee members?
Let's sit green.
Madam Chair, I sent the Law and Order Committee Journal on Wednesday, December 15th, 2021 at 4:13 p.m. Then I forwarded the same email out this morning at 8:51 a.m., Madam Chair.
Thank you for that, Cheryl. So with that, committee members, we do have a journal. Can I get a motion and a second for the journal?
Let's sit. There you see.
Motion made by Honorable Eugene So. Can I get a second? Second by Delegate Vince James. So with that, committee members, are there any questions, comments, or any amendments that need to be made to December 13th, 2021 journal? Not hearing anything, we'll go ahead and proceed forward to the vote. Cheryl, can you assist us with the roll call vote, please?
Yes, Honorable Vince James, how do you vote?
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote?
All in favor, share.
Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Otto So, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Otto So votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazi, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Edmund Yazi votes green. Honorable Madam Chair Charles Newton, you have 4 in favor, 0 opposed, and Chair not voting, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that, Cheryl. So with that, the journal for December 13, 2021 is hereby accepted. We'll move forward to item number 5, receiving reports. We do have a report from Honorable Edison J. Wanika, Council Delegate from Oak Springs and St. Michael's Chapter regarding the courts of the Navajo Nation. We do have Edison Wanika on the call. I do apologize. When we started the meeting, we were going to go straight into the reports until we reached a quorum. However, we do have a quorum, so we do the agenda. So with that, Honorable Edison Wanika, are you still with us at this time?
Yes, Madam Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Delegate Wanika. So with that, committee members, can I get a motion and a second at this time? Motion made by Honorable Eugene So. Can I get a second? Delegate Vince James seconds to hear the report from Honorable Edison J. Wanika. So with that, Delegate Wanika, you have presented to this committee before. So do you have any questions before you proceed, Delegate Wanika?
Yes, Madam Chair. I wanted this to be presented. I wanted to discuss the concerns that I have regarding the judge. And I got most of the information I need. The only thing I don't have is the recordings of the hearing that took place with my mother-in-law and my wife, and the treatment that they got is very concerning to me. But at this particular time, yesterday morning, I found out that one of my brothers passed away. They found his body in Albuquerque. So I'm in the process of making arrangements and things like that. So I'm just asking, I would appreciate it if you could just move my item to the next agenda, because we're just really, my sisters and I are just working on this arrangement for my brother. At this time. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Delegate Winika, our condolences to you at this time in your loss. I'm so sorry to hear what you're going through right now. And I don't think there's going to be a problem. We'll just go ahead and Honorable Eugene Stowe and Honorable Vince James, can you guys just go ahead and take your motion and your second back? And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and move this item to the next Law and Order Committee meeting. If there are any objections, committee members, please let me know now.
No objection.
Thank you. So Delegate Eugene Stowe and Delegate Vince James, both of you made the motion and the second. Do you want to go ahead and pull your motion and your second?
Okay, all right. Who was that came? Was it from facilities or is it? It's from facilities.
Can you all please make sure your phone is muted? It interrupts the committee meeting. And if you're not muted, we're going to go ahead and hang up on you. So Delegate Eugene Stowe, Delegate Vince James, do you guys want to go ahead and remove your motion and your second at this time?
Oh.
Thank you, Delegate Eugene Stowe. Delegate Vince James? Delegate Vince James, are you still with us?
Honorable Madam Chair, I think he got cut off. He's not on the line.
I just got a text message from Honorable Vince James. He said he's trying to get back on the line, but he said, oh, he is going to go ahead and remove his second at the time. Lorraine, can you go ahead and make sure that this item gets added to the next Law and Order Committee agenda, and just make sure that you're communicating with Delegate Edison Winika. Again, Delegate Winika, we do send our condolences to you and your family at this time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I really appreciate that.
So with that, committee members, we move down to item B on the agenda, and it is a report from Joanne Jane, Chief Justice of the Navajo Nation Judicial Branch relating to Veterans Treatment Court. She will also be presenting this information with Regina Begay Roanhorse, MLS Healthcare Law, Court Administrator for Twahaja Lake District Court regarding problem-solving courts. So with that, committee members, can I get a motion and a second to hear this report?
Motion by Vice Chair.
Motion made by Honorable Vice Chair Otto Stowe. Can I get a second?
Second, Delegate James.
Second by Honorable Vince James. Thank you for rejoining us again, Shanella. So with that, Ms. Regina Begay Roanhorse, you have presented to this committee before. The procedures have not changed. Do you have any questions regarding the procedure before you begin your report?
Do I get sworn in, or is this just a presentation of the PowerPoint?
No, it's just a presentation. So you get 15 minutes. If you need an additional 5 minutes, you can request that of the committee. If there's no objections, we'll give you the additional 5 minutes, which will give you 20 minutes total. Upon completion of your presentation, if you could just let us know that you're done presenting, then the floor gets turned over to the delegates for any questions or concerns that they may have. And we just ask that you can have up to 2 agents who can assist you during your presentation. Do we just ask at this time that that anybody who is going to be speaking be recognized before they speak? Do you have any questions on the procedure at this time?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And everybody who's listening in, please mute your phone. It's disruptive to the committee meeting when your phone is not muted. So with that, Ms. Regina Begay-Roanhorse, the floor is yours. You have 15 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, members of the committee, executive branch, justice partners, and whoever is on this call. I thank you for the opportunity to talk to you about veterans treatment courts. I am a member of the National Association for Drug Court Professionals, and what I'm going to talk to you about today is the bottom line is about criminal cases, because healing to wellness courts and drug courts operate under the case type that we call criminal proceedings. So if a person is arrested and comes before the court under a docketed criminal case, the judge has options under Title 17 alternative sentencing to do alternative sentencing, which is like treatment and restoration of harmony. So today I'm going to talk to you about what I've been doing to develop the veterans treatment courts. As I stated earlier, I am a veteran. I am a captain in the Ordnance, U.S. Army. I joined the military way back in 1985. I think that was the first time that we as Native American females were taking on that kind of position in our military to be officers. I know I started with around 33 women, mostly non-Native women, female, and only 3 of us made it. So it was a very tough leadership and training to be an officer. And I was very fortunate to have support from my family. My dad's a Navajo code talker. All of my brothers served in the military. 2 are officers, 1 is not, and he is a Bronze Star recipient. He actually passed away in 2016. I would say from injuries resulting from trauma from Afghanistan to the point where you have this unresolved grief. And that's how I got into trying to develop veterans treatment courts, is because of that background. If you go to slide 2, you'll see that on that slide, just to say that treatment courts do work. Justice-involved veterans get into our systems on and off reservation because of the unresolved trauma that they go through. There is a VA Veterans Justice Outreach Program that they have with the VA, which is a federal agency that deals specifically with service-connected disabled veterans. They have a licensed independent social worker who actually goes into the jails off reservation, and they identify people, veterans that are in need of assistance to apply for their benefits to become service-connected disabled. And then they also do mental health evaluations right on the spot. So they contacted the Navajo Nation way back in 2011 because they're seeing a lot more Navajo veterans coming through the off-reservation systems, justice systems. So that's when I started the work of developing community-based treatment to support veterans on the long term for the trauma that they go through when they come back, especially from combat That's females and males. On slide 3, you'll see the wellness model for Hashkejan Nahatra, which is actually what my dad, Thomas Begay, co-talker, says that that's the true Hashkejan Nahatra, which is the military leaders that lead the community, the group, the tribe, the soldiers through conflicts. It's a huge responsibility for our military who are serving, who have served. They have to have a lot of strength and resilience and support, not only when they go in, but when they come back. And I think the wellness model that was developed by the Navajo Department of Behavioral Health Services in collaboration with Indian Health Services is a good model. Self-identity, self-respect, self-care, protecting yourself is important for these Hashkejan Nahatra throughout their life, not just when they go in, but when they come back out, when they serve. I want to point to you on the next slide, slide 4. There is a section in our law, Title 17, Section 220. I added this slide, Ms. Newton, where the court may suspend the imposition of a sentence for a person who has been convicted of a crime or may sentence him to alternative sentencing. And it lists it in Title 17. But one of the things that I wanted to show you is that there is a section in there about rehabilitative treatment after assessment and restoration of harmony between the victim and the offender, or the offender and community. I thought that was a very good change of Title 17, which is our criminal code, where we talk about restoring offenders to community. Because when they come back, when our soldiers come back, male or female, they come back with a lot. They come back with different military culture and trying to harmonize them with even their families, even their individual families, their community. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. And that's why oftentimes our Navajo military, our Hashkejan Nahatra, they come back with a lot of need. And we need to develop within the community peer support, but also have our courts involved if we need to, under the criminal cases, to develop in interagency collaborations that would help them access their services, whether they want to do it at the VA or if they want to do it locally within our local Navajo area Indian health systems. And I'm going to talk a lot about that because treatment courts involve treatment. So you really need to partner with your local systems of care, your local systems of healthcare, like your 638 behavioral health programs and your mental health services at your hospitals on the reservation, because sometimes these veterans, and some of them have not even applied for their benefits, that's the first place that they'll go to. That's the first place the family will go to, not only the health systems, but they always run to the courts. So what we tried to do in planning for veterans treatment courts is really identify goals and objectives and activities that we could build up these systems of care and these partnerships with our health systems and our justice systems. Because judges right now, and when they enter alternative sentencing, they go through probation services. Probation services is awesome with our Navajo court system. However, if you really do want to work specifically with veterans, we need to add in coordination of care with our local VA. And that often means working with service-connected disability claims. And those are really hard to do right now, but I think that the Navajo Veterans Administration is working on getting veteran service officers that can do those admin type of applications for our veterans. So we put together a logic model, which is in slide 5. I'm not going to really go through it in detail other than to say that when you do a project, when you try to develop a treatment court, you really do have to have the items or the collaborations in place before a judge can really enter into an order and everything is different from each judicial district. So for example, in Tohajale, we have the Kangsito Band of Navajo Health Center 638 program. And let's say Wendourot, you have the Fort Defiance Area Indian Health Services and the Navajo Department of Behavioral Health Services. So these veterans that come with a agreement and an idea that they want to get some help, they often have to navigate these systems, and that's where we get lost. And if you want to navigate the VA system in Albuquerque or Phoenix, it is a hard thing to do because of the time and the distance between the person, the veteran, and their families and where they're located and the VA system. So on slide 5, I did kind of put it in slide 6, is a logic model that we put together with our team that has specific things that you can do in developing a treatment court, some strategies such as it comes down to building peer support within the community. And I'm going to talk about that. So the next slide, slide number 7, is a picture of my dad when he was in the Marines. And why work with the veterans in development of your treatment court? These are veterans within your communities. Well, they have wisdom. They have that journey of a military person. They've been to boot camp. They rode on the side of a helicopter with the M16. They have traveled to their duty stations to process in. They get up early, like 4 o'clock, go for a 3-mile run, go hike 10 miles, carry everything and do those operations out there in the field. So these veterans within our communities in the Navajo Nation, that the Vietnam veterans, the World War II even, and the OEF, IEF, meaning Afghanistan, Iraq veterans, they have really good experience and journeys that can help a judge when we get into the peer support, meaning that when a person comes before the court and they're working on their treatment, these mentors and these peer support can come in to help them to say, you know what, you need to do this, you need to do this. Let me help you find services. Let me help you find a job. Let me help you find a place to live. What is it that I can do? If there's suicidal tendencies, a peer support that has mental health first aid training can do the QPR, which is the question, persuade, refer. So that was the component that I was focusing on with one of my grants that I wrote way back in 2013. And I did get funded for the peer support project, which is the first ever in Indian country that we were trying to do in 2018. So, and our next slide, slide number 8, shows you more veterans. There's my dad and my brother. The middle one is Robertson Yazzie, who used to work for me as a coordinator for our Veterans Treatment Courts. You can see that this is a picture from Afghanistan, and the dog that is with him is one of those bomb smelling dogs. And so he has experiences sort of in a more modern way of what it was like to be out there, you know, doing patrols out there in another foreign country. So he brought a lot of good experiences. And then the last picture is a picture of my nephew, who is in Special Forces in the Air Force, which is a unique thing that he's doing. And then my son, who just got commissioned as a second lieutenant, he's actually flying back today from Fort Benning, Georgia. He's second lieutenant with the infantry. So why do I bring this all up? What difference does it make? Well, like I said earlier, you have a system of healthcare that we call consumer-oriented care that is military culture sensitive. I'm running up, I'm almost my 15 minutes. I'm gonna kind of go through the next couple of slides really quick. We have Navajo Nation veteran organizations across the nation. There's 110 through the chapters, as you well know. They are great resources for our community. We have a Veterans Advisory Council, a Veterans Act. There's more information on that with Arizona MOU. Because we are so rural in the Navajo Nation, we really do need to work with our Indian Health Services. And I'm going really quick, and I give you slides on how it's difficult to navigate our behavioral health services. But the bottom line is that I'm asking two things, and I'm gonna, because I'm at 14 minutes. I would like the committee to consider the introduction and passage of a problem-solving court statute. And I provided that to your advisor for your committee. Fund a problem-solving program manager or coordinator to assist the courts and developing these specialty courts within the judicial districts. And then also encourage training on restorative justice. I have more to say about the restorative justice, but my time is up and I don't want to, you know, give out too much complex information, but there's a lot more that I could say just working with your health systems. And I thank you for your time. And my information is on the last slide. And if you need to contact me, I can help answer any questions that you have. Thank you. I stand for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Begay-Rodenhorst. So with that, committee members, are there any questions or comments?
Madam Chair?
Vice Chair Otto, so the floor is yours.
Yes. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you for the report. And Ron Horse, I at a Benesto, it's not again. The dance, the store. In it, not she, so she put I did not the kitchen from the although moving on, also talking about our veterans and how the system, the current system, provides the services to our veterans, and that is very, very, very important. And to see to hear out the court side, on the Navajo Nation court system, and how a lot of these individuals that go through the system who are veterans are to get the courts to understand the individual, the veteran. No. Kada ito yo hot no. Ajib be in and the boot camp. And the hot ishin laid it, but there's chain only boot camp Jania baby Yahoo so bad, but never thought though. In she with Abagan that has Uncle Bab Yard, where she using that, but that no, you that is kidney. Although, Neda, I should instant though, the Neda, when you send the neck in either George, that she that, but no baby at the whole. You between heat has lago. So in late hard boot cat did you go. They wait at the knock, I go back now, but in this time, so. You turn that shish. In that case, open it. Can't this the jet. The heart is in the one the book. Over it. So they'll tell the soldiers, I'm your mother and I'm your father. The be careful. I didn't have it in Tina. I should not let you because it all, it all, quite get she by the no son. I like how needle the scene get what I see by been up in the skin. I don't other ye issue can rado the rascal. The ladan. No nest like you say on the heart, issue never in the way. The ne aunt ego I touching the cargo as in the way now what you and on the Chenias the Sanita. And you was a sweet old Masanda Link, she's the unhidden ego, she national job, but things isn't or other because the house the house ego, what also other out. You get the house or I didn't hand the car. Could but in the sheep, but na but the now car Washington lean could all. Nedo, been it all, but though had that ego, I didn't. Ye need to hold one has angle. Which in that is in that yen that is me. Or add. Now it. Add Hanet Ashin in that is Ebik Echo added ne. Or yo is na. Regard that it need all who has argued nether. Architna in the sad over. The flash in Kidadit. I don't that you watch it the net and had gado. Call big his kid. And they, sports services that are provided for veterans, they're the ones that are stuck with how to provide treatment back for that veteran. So she been Nita. So she even took his asa out or she Nita. I would ego go adin she kid on take care of it that he issue. Been behind the house, on the car. Una se otra claro, I did not enjoy the kitland, and then lay tot cut with the hard see. Page, he found a Nandi cut. I like one has if better husband. I at it. I asked a dog, the art sheet now, God, is she now, right? Child not cheat that I knew. In the hard sheet. In such case, open Yada this kind. The name Leany, a son Leany, where had the big Yado, which Yat ate so. At then, you watch it, urgent that little. I don't she know in the yard, I did she not that she that no, but the tablet that no she. Ne archie, Yata did la. Ni, either Archie. Ego se last son Leany, that the whole hour. How is she not? Ashin lady alulai ike kanagaha ade pinne na defense Asia bit alate ego la ya edo ni hat ego labit hato tsi alate ego la ike do tin janshi apa hazniye the nen leni sun leni pinne lage that onsen ha shi khad shi no sa it and it aban ban tiski go even now. Really appreciate this presentation to the oversight committee and to present to us to show that there is something that the Navajo Nation courts have in place, and there is something that the courts will have in place for all of our veterans across the nation, just not in that region. Administration staff so things starts to disseminate to the district courts. They all start singing a different tune. One court will sing another song at a different tune. You get to another court district and that very song is sung in a whole different tune. Well, as the Chief Justice is probably on the line, not too sure, and Mr. Atiti Shah, you're on the line too. Really appreciate this service, and we really need to get all the district courts on one bandwagon singing the same tune. Ms. Ron Horse alluded to different health organizations that provide services. Really need to be, the research needs to be done. Who do we send these veterans to for treatment? Where's that communication base? Who is working on it in Kayenta District Court? Who is working on this in the court district in Window Rock? Who can they resort to for information pertaining to this? Too many veterans are out there. Veterans out there taking their own lives. The commercials about veterans veterans that commit suicide and so forth. It can go to the children, it can go to the wife, to the girlfriend, to the mother and father, to the brother. Forms of domestic violence, verbal abuse, down to physical abuse, even down to crime. As these people come back, as our veterans come back from the service, their reintegration back into society. So I think it's hard because these veterans are trained to kill. The reason why some veterans choose to re-enlist because the protocol different. But when you get back into the common society, it's a hot nana. If there has on is at the hello, Ishina atla, Ishina ako ade atlana sponsor. Oh, because it non so I was throwing through, sending a veteran to the jail for DUI or something like that is really not the answer. Ishina atla. Congo or pharmacist cases. So, Annie, the sweet of Sunny with his car, and his string of Ape, and his teeth. It breaks up families. One veteran to a city that came home, left as he's married and he had children. Came home, tried to work things out, and his training and egg got the best of him. So that just dissolved his family because he knew that doyat ita when you sit down it is the harder that you schlichen sind was ist ne schos chicken dann sa zakidi ni chnoba hajile schos hajile und ta kisto ade sin sakishin nafti chida hidi ku alla di to shit tsidisina no it's no مش عارفين نهون أنا went to know about it ما شيء يحجو أنا يا keep nature أنا كهوت أجنة كهوت سوي كيسو أهو إلا كهوت سا كيسو هو في جرا هو إلا جنو بحجنا كهانيت هذا أقوله يا إن قد الليل وإلى تحت الدش نشنو بحجنا على على شيء كلاه ناقة دشين هذا شيء إنه تشميل أنا مش شيء ليت لا له واحد reason why you don't let you know about it. I don't understand. أنا شلونه أنا شلاجكم نيها شيء هذا شو attention بدهم يجد قبل الناس مش عارف أو بس شايفني إنش نوبة جنيه. So they are struggling. And my bottom line is, how do we hold the federal government responsible for this? There's no card, in case of a card, it's a lot so no. If you need all things, no, not only click. And the Khalid, even la in the Washington, Lin, area, Pepper, not all he. So hey, the quiet adult in Plada. The quiet adult had it as number half in Plada. Khalid, 8 adult hit the car is lost so. I know that the guy in that. I really think that this presentation is something that's needed on the nation, and to be on one page across the whole Navajo Nation. This system is going to be implemented in Tohajale in that region, and you're going to implement it in Kayenta or Shiprock District. It'll be all the same, because you know that programs like to operate things different, and they'll say, oh, over here we do it this way, over here we do it that way. Shouldn't be. Be all universal, one process to be followed. What happened? Chief Justice and Chief Staff for the Chief Justice. Get the district to be on one page. I'd like to get on hearing calls. Hear judges in the hearing. And I hear them. And hear what Honorable Edison Wanika spoke to. I don't say anything. Voices aren't in lead or I don't I don't hear it, although I did Ron Horse for providing this information, and we had discussion on the 23rd Council pertaining to this matter, and there was an issue pertaining to funding. At the time, you were operating off of a grant source of funds, and it was expiring. And I really would like to see the financial aspect of it and see if we could get the Chief Justice and the Chief of Staff to make sure that this budget is implemented into the normal comprehensive budget of the Navajo Nation. The services is really needed for our veterans. Try to help them instead of locking them up and throwing the keys away. What is the alternative setting for what type of treatment's available for them? What's out there for services? Reaching out to the VA. What's each odd ipe job nothing odd bit a halon ipe because yo nedo sun ya dancing do cos and it hard sheep in that day. The hard sheep top. أجو بعثو أدي أدو لأي صبي خاليانا هلا عليت لأي the harmony. How do you restore that back to an individual? أبيت أن إيجو تبدي مين ده طبيعته نيجي بدن خاطر بدن شيء بدن تحت وشو كلو أدو لا ده يكينان ده شيء هو لأنه عادي يكينان ده إنسان ده أو أنا بنسخان فهو إيمنا ليت إيه لا إيه بخاف ده نفي هي عادي جو أنا خاف كيف تيجي تأخذ خدود نبي كيف خاطر أنا كني كبيسو. Really, again, I would really like to see a comprehensive budget for this program. At the same time, the judicial branch applying for these federal dollars to help us. So it's about time that we do this. Then the other thing too is maybe we can tap into the Veteran Trust Fund. Veteran Trust Fund has money there that I think we can allocate a certain amount out of there. The courts. Jo ajibab jao zio shin jon ko ya tita e aje so da shin so ya added interest dollars I did na khafike. Maybe if we can talk to them and talk with the oversight committee to make amendments to the trust fund so that we could divert some of these funds for services that's much needed for our veterans there. That's just a suggestion. That's not a, I'm not saying we're going to do it tomorrow. That's just a suggestion. Some time from you guys, and this case. And I appreciate the time. Madam Chair, we'll go back on mute. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Vice Chair. Are there any other questions at this time from the committee members?
That's it.
Honorable Eugene So, the floor is yours.
Just by what Otto is saying, Mr. So, the other So. What by that another young husband, Ashini, or you can that can his law, or your spread husband does me or your trashy, and yet I mask that that the doesn't there. Being at the creek, my kids in the half Adam. That's a evening. Hasn't long is a long mask. I ought that you right at I ought to be not in me. I learned not that. She needs to by hard J and not be my son that lined up as tweet. So I cross it only one in the later. So it about has TV how I was starting with. So there was thousand that torture. The Ghana Trasho was thousand. I didn't the Yeti up in the case about the TV, but the TV. Now, sunny song. They do all about 18 less either. Asian artists in meeting that's negative, that would affect the child inside. It are even now, they're all issues or total even the age for Ilya. Object of the credit and age for Ilya. This had need this seed. Because it's a freedom for us to do whatever we want. Preach that, press that, religious, and do whatever we want. It just all gosh, isn't that also means it is not eating in the town. So what I would even see so long and even been it. Is all been it that will be hard to hospital. I just like a car on the shade that never happened to shade. Oh, how you had sound about the knee. Oh, yeah, I need all that. I just heard that there's one veteran that almost took his wife and they had to do something for him. Oh, it's could that it was in his toilet ladder. So like how is net it had it's a earth into that honest. Call it heavy or he happy to that. One song honest and that goes back into what I always talk about panicking. I didn't think I eat or crime mentally. I for your needs and the next clean for that the next for Ilya. All honest shouldn't be 1970 down service going to yeah. I was not doing non-stop. I hit myself for a long time. I worked at a ranch way up in the Point of Pines, all 100 has not added. Pushing to knock them still. I don't want to be seen.
Maya the Hono Shin Cha. Element kicking the Adjournment is taken from them. Although there's some of the issues that veterans go through, it's shot by the Cha. But he did it. As a hospital, Joe Casa. Adult Adam O'Hazgo. But that's either. So your husband does it, your father does it, it's a next 8 hours now, it's a bit is now. He's undone, but somewhat take time. Ask the Jaeger. It's on it, that's the next art, I've been fixing art. So you had all that out. Very bad stone, that's a shame that you had all that. She's 29, the first 29 coat talker. That's what you get to you. All on to the house, a piece of what's in the young detail, not all what is the status. One day he just walked off the camp. It was before the coat talking was known. It was not odd. So there's a lot of things that happened to a veteran. I just had a meeting with him yesterday. No one. So it's also it's all the others from so yeah, and I see yeah, it takes any that it takes any that I need or any that it the on yes, it that which had a hot or that had it all chicken, but I shouldn't the house as a respond. So I shouldn't and I don't die this on that and I did on king picture. So I knew what you call hard answer by not answer that straight of Nicholas yeah. I would know I would be behind how we can help our veterans to get out of it so they can come back and be home again. Some are home, yes, but they're not here. Their mind is somewhere else. They're not home yet. So I just say, whatever they did, whatever if they ever killed somebody or whatever firefight they went into, he's still there and you don't go with him. It will kill him to the end or her. But we have street also basic question about whatever the plan is for the veterans on board. If I know we have to do something for them, everybody, but I have to do but I had it asked. But I need a day to see in Naka. I did the special noise on how Naka how simple. It was in there. But other ones, this case, other yacht, a yacht, basically, I did all. I think I come making names in that era. It is all that about this case. It's a poor share, it's a poor home to have of Navy. Thanks.
Yeah, Ms. Begay Roanhorse, I'm going to turn the floor back over to you regarding the comments and the concerns that have been brought out. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And these are really good comments. I just want to thank you all for supporting all your veterans within the community. I know that for me, I kind of, when I got out, I was in the civilian population. That's how we talk. And it was difficult. And it's still difficult for me. Sometimes I have to think before I say anything, and sometimes I don't. And that just comes out from military culture. I do want to point out some things. First of all, this Veterans Treatment Court is a model that's time intensive. So it'll take anywhere from 1 to 2 years to work on one veteran, who is justice involved. And right now, our current funding for the judicial districts are done on a closed open basis. So we're not really thinking on our performance criteria in terms of like funding these types of cases, because we just open, close, and we say, oh, we did good. When this model is based on recovery, and recovery can take 1 to 2 years. I just want to point that out. Having worked in Crown Point, Pueblo Pintado since November, I just want to remind everyone, the judges are actually working on 9 case types. Criminal cases are only 1 of 9. So I think you have to start thinking about recruiting more judges. And it may be time to think, and I'm just saying, this is my personal opinion as a Navajo Nation bar member for 30 years with the master's in legal studies, having been a prosecutor, having done court administration, trying to develop these treatment specialty courts. I'm thinking that we may need to open up judges' positions to non-Navajos. That may have to happen because the dockets are very high, and this is a time-intensive model. You need a lot of time from the judge, and they don't have time right now. I know that Judge Begay and Judge Livingston and Judge Patero, they're all veterans. We had a discussion about developing one in Window Rock and Crown Point. But then the pandemic happened. So it kind of just, it comes to a pause. We did have a 638 position for a care coordinator way back in 2015. But I think that was when Chief Justice Yazzie resigned, that money went to a peacemaking traditional specialist. So the judicial branch was going to fund a position to work out of Tohajile to help all districts, not just here or Alamo, but all districts. But the peacemaking program took that position. And just recently, Tohajile became vacant. So maybe Chief Justice could consider allocating those funds to this project and then run the programming and the operations of developing this more out of Tohajile, since we have an open position here. Just making that point. And then on your PowerPoint slide, please look at slide number 20. So I know I went really fast, but I did want to point out that the Navajo Area Indian Health Services does have a MOU with the VA, Veterans Affairs. There's about $75.5 million that's reimbursed to Indian Health Services for 9,400 Veteran Health Administration enrolled AIAN veterans. And with Navajo Nation, Navajo Area Indian Health Services, they do get a portion of that $75.5 million that's reimbursed from the VA to Navajo Area Indian Health Services. So I was trying to work in my project on how we could develop these peer support positions under Navajo Area Indian Health Services throughout Navajo Nation. Because like what I was saying before, the first place that families go, that veterans often go, are the local Indian Health Service, the 638 funded programs, clinics, or hospitals. So why not have some kind of military culture appropriate care, since they're getting all that reimbursement? That was one part of the idea of peer support. The use of their hogans, the use of their, prevention for those in the community before they get suicidal. But again, like I said, on veterans treatment courts, and I want to point it out again, this is not a civil matter, this is a criminal matter. So a veteran has to be arrested and then charged with a crime. And often in your communities, these veterans are not charged with the crime, they're suicidal. So there's that component to it that you've been talking about. And I just want to let you know that my 2018 CTAS award that I wrote, slide 21, I got a whole lot of money that I couldn't spend. And I was getting to the point where we could see systems changes so that judges could use them more, but it all came to a standstill. I didn't feel supported, so I started applying for other jobs because I have a master's degree in legal studies and healthcare law. And I just kind of gave up on that grant because it got frozen and I didn't have staff to continue the work. I didn't have the 638 program funds that were promised to me. I didn't feel that I was being heard. So I just kind of threw it in, gave up. But I do want to support the future promotion of problem-solving courts, whether it be treatment courts or mental health courts. And that's where the legislation comes in. It will give options to the judges. The judges have to do a lot of this work. And again, I just want to say in defense of the judges, we have awesome judges right now who are Navajo speaking. Maybe they don't speak great Navajo, but they're Navajo, and we need to keep them. We need to fund their positions, support them, because we don't have a whole cadre of Navajo judges for the future. And if we're going to move forward on the legacy of these treatment courts for veterans to help them, to help our people, I would ask that you help support that legislation that I gave you. And anyway, thank you again, everyone. I took too much of your time, but I'm grateful for the opportunity. And I wish you the best this Christmas season. Stay safe. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments from the committee members at this time?
Madam Chair?
Vice Chair, the floor is yours.
Really I'd like to thank Mr. Eugene So Chinada. So since the lad at egg and as a veteran who went through those times, his experience is an example. And there's many other examples out there that the program can take into consideration on what our veterans go through, whether they're injured or another haka. Then he's that so had that children cat. I don't know. Alcohol. The could need neck and so cosiki. I don't know. I added on the area. Neatly hided that in nether. It's not a bit, it's so either not fast out of the last. In fact, he's open. Yeah, I knew what I had made the whole hour. I didn't make a whole machine. Could it? And so, Costone, Nick, Navajo, the car old eat and the car is a hinkable, but not later to last sword and limit. But yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah. That's another cut. I see. Abanda and eat. Constrange. Araba another. Scottish that case go see I think so take a she at age one that case what are these that so I thought the whole it's criminal or whatever take a she quite and it is they take a she could go take on then yen don't cut it I gonna yeah I want and yeah not think on the connect get la ya ya non you know but non this is my analogy of that the scenes the lado say but in the lado yeah go hit na take a soon yin be ya na ta be ya han chita o han for the take a chingy and talk case go this wellness court something that we could that the courts could look at and mold so that we try to help our veterans out there that are facing these things. Because as soon as ego, I get that then now that is what is not adult. I think of the is that is of not go a bear go a you can't you got on thing on the snarking yes then it's agent snarking this again and it's as thinking need other love one but the card are they a band just like I don't is in that week I don't know band just like for I is that's the old alcohol this I could all think and I do not kidding not taking the hard could not need that he was is not a given it up and suck his up tree so had a given that she things and all other not shadow on this start when the hard chin a shadow at a could an at egg that would an oh yeah at that she I think the chaos over in there ya sound hand a cut but this is just something to look at and as we grow this program here this is something to look at and how can we mold be able to catch us through this the last door catch us chingy half of the door half of the door nitty hey korea so that done send dog ya that crab has yan send the dog ya in that because you bought chin from nada tinda mano bjada ikhaji ikalo yan send dog ipe o after okay they had so I will so oban to that kid idea and Ron horse is right. We are his name he or she never understand the holistic side of treatment. And I always say Navajo way of life is not a weekend just living somewhere and coming home from the weekend and being home and saying I'm a Navajo and I live the Navajo way of life. You have to taste it. You have to feel it. You have to touch it. You have to see it. You have to smell it. 5 sentences of it is the key. But in we are hitting green. Really hope they're working hard, try to understand the Navajo way of life and the Navajo way of thinking, to incorporate these things into their work, whether it's a decision that he or she's making or they're at work managing an employee. They pen ego ko na zone hin na hui lin ki ta ya yan sa kesto ya hun ko is jondo ano so anle ho da ho last so da bata chin bi ga da to is ta so na ma ta ek adishi ga anya shi ho anle nya ho da ani da ka go so da shi na ma iga ha ma na even na ho da o ma shi Precious Hamadan, precious shade of Haja, precious Masan, as you have the heart, the sneaker. Why talk learn that you need 8 in Naya is a double door need sneaker. Oh, are they what they the by 80 father? What are over so I want to hold on. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Vice Chair. Are there any other questions or comments at this time? Not hearing anything. I don't think there were any questions. I think there were just comments that were being made by Delegate Vice Chair Otto. So, Ms. Begay-Roanhorse, do you want to respond?
No, ma'am.
Thank you for that. So with that, committee members, there are no questions or no other comments at this time. So we can go ahead and we can proceed forward to accept the vote. Sherelle, can you assist us with roll call? Accept the report given to us here today by Ms. Begay-Roanhorse. Hello, Sherelle? Lorraine, can you assist us with roll call vote, please?
Yeah, Madam Chair, thank you. Honorable Rich James, how do you vote?
Delegate votes green.
Honorable Rich James votes green. Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote?
What is so here?
Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Otto So, how do you vote?
Vote green.
Honorable Otto So votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote? Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote? Honorable Edmund Yazzie votes green through via text. Thank you. Madam Chair, you have 4 in favor, 0 opposed, and 1 not voting, which is Madam Chair 401. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So 4 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 not voting, and that's the chair to accept the report that has been given to us by Regina Begay-Roanhorse regarding the problem-solving courts and the Veterans Treatment Court. So we appreciate the time, Ms. Begay-Roanhorse. We appreciate the presentation that you've given to us today. So with that, Ms. Begay-Roanhorse, you are excused.
Thank you.
Thank you and happy holidays. So with that, we move on to item number C, or item C on the agenda from Jesse Delmar, Executive Director, and Michael Henderson, Director for Criminal Investigations, Department of Medical Examiners, regarding the medical. Can I get a motion and a second on this report?
Motion
Second
by Vice
call,
Chair.
I need a motion made by Vice Chair Otto. So can I get a second?
Oh, the case.
Second by Honorable Eugene So. So with that, Director Delmar and also Director Henderson, both of you have presented to this committee before. We'll go ahead and give you 15 minutes on the board to make your presentation today. With that, we do have a motion and a second established. Director Delmar, Director Henderson, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. This is Criminal Investigation Supervisor Dale West representing Michael Henderson.
Director West, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Let me give you a history of where the medical examiners come from and where it's at right now. In January 2019, Navajo Nation President Russell Begay signed into law establishing the Navajo Department of Medical Examiners. In the fall of 2019, Navajo Department of Health, in cooperation with the Navajo Division of Public Safety, were able to obtain a grant to partially fund the startup of the Navajo Department of Medical Examiners. In the fall of 2020, Navajo Department of Personnel Management established the Navajo Department of Medical Examiners positions, and they were advertised. In March 2021, the first personnel for the Navajo Department of Medical Examiners was hired, the Administrative Service Officer. The Administrative Service Officer began the work of reviewing and revising the needs of the department, completing an updated budget, reviewing statistical data, researching equipment needs, working and providing input for the Shiprock Judicial Complex Medical Examiner Building, and establishing contract personnel to help with policies and procedures and lesson plans with the scope of the grant. In September 2021, the first contract personnel for the Navajo Department of Medical Examiners was brought on board. Their contract goes through September of 2022. In December of 2021, just this month, unfortunately, the Administrative Service Officer resigned. So in September 2022, the grant ends with the partial funding. So with that said, one of the challenges that faces the Navajo Department of Medical Examiner is the need for permanent funding. With personnel, for finding personnel with the skills and training to do the job who might be interested in applying, are waiting until the positions are permanent. We have found that those who have applied have either been found to either be not qualified, or if they were qualified, once they reviewed the scope of work, declined to take the positions. So we've had some challenges in hiring. A permanent budget for the Navajo Department Examiners is critical for the success of the department, and this is going to be submitted with the Navajo Division of Public Safety budget in the upcoming budget session. The other outstanding challenge that we have right now is that the pay scale for the chief medical examiners needs to be updated, and Navajo Division of Public Safety is working with Department of Personnel Management to address this. So that position is one of the foundational pieces to bringing this program together. So those are the updates I have for this morning, Madam Chair and Law and Order Committee. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Director West. So our committee members, based on the information that has been provided to you, I would like to add that in addition to that, we are trying to work with Indian Health Services to have them fund partially the position that is currently being advertised right now. So we haven't been successful in I guess in a date to meet with Indian Health Services, but nevertheless we are still pushing. So with that, committee members, are there any questions or comments at this time?
Madam Chair, Vice Chairman.
Vice Chair Otto.
Yes. Yes. My thought of the presentation. Ite ati na ho tida. So ali ko la I see it dahadol, but it's dahadol ta. So what Director West has indicated, talked about, we need to get our hands around this so that we can make sure that these things carry through, so that these little or not little these things pertaining to this is very, very important. But I guess I would like to hear from the managers and the director on what type of progressive work needs to be identified. And I guess I think at management level there really needs to be something that is set so that program will follow through, because it sounds like a lot of things may not be followed through, or it may be followed through, but there's not enough movement. Just basically talking about these positions and updating the medical examiner's pay scale and so forth. These things really need to be worked on so that we can provide the service, because right now all of our services are going off to the Navajo Nation. And the way criminal investigation talks about who pays for these autopsies, and the nation pays a huge amount to get autopsies done in order to release bodies. Alcohol, we have to find that position. Other than that, we have to we really have to get down to the nitty gritty on this and get the program to start aggressively working on this, whether it requires we know that NDOH is involved in this, and we really need this to be pushed. And maybe just a recommendation to the division directors, you need to set deadlines so that these things can be followed through, so that we can finish these things and try to get that service to the Navajo people here. And then the funding aspect too, we really need to have that dialogue, because the budget session is coming up, and I'm not even too sure if it will be considered in this year's budget, although it is told that they're going to put it into this year's comprehensive request. But bottom line is, when the three-branch Chase agreement happens, monies are divvied up. All these programs that need these vital services, monies aren't equally, or they're not put in to places where they're really needed. So we'll have programs that are in limbo, and we really need to get this addressed and get this thing moving. So I'm going to mute.
Thank you, Vice Chair Otto So, for that. Committee members, are there any other questions or comments at this time?
Madam Chair, Jesse Delmar.
Director Delmar, the floor is yours.
I apologize, ma'am. I lost signal. I'm on the road in Oak Springs, Arizona right now, but I'm not sure how much Dale West was able to cover, but I sort of want to respond to Vice Chair talking. Heard his comments just a while ago when I logged back on. I just wanted to say good morning to the committee, to the committee, and Madam Chair, though Vice Chair, though for this opportunity, and particularly thankful for you listening to this topic that we are presenting this morning. Just want to say that this item that we do with criminal investigations, the coroner duties that we have, is not a program that we got from BIA. BIA has no such program. I've been here for quite some time. I know that the Navajo Police Department, they've been responding to calls such as this, where our loved ones pass away, and then we go out into the Navajo country and make a determination as to what the cause of death is. We had this for quite some time, and I think the Navajo Department of Criminal Investigations, some criminal investigators pretty much had received a lot of education on it, and some even had perfected it. So, but some examinations go beyond these external examinations throughout the Navajo Nation. They have to be referred. Some require specialty examinations. For instance, a forensic examination that is referred to either Utah, Arizona, or New Mexico, as the Vice Chair did indicate just a while ago, that they are quite expensive at this time. So when I was working with Dale West, when he was acting, we worked on it a lot, and we did say, and I did say before, that this duty is a component of the health department, was what we said, and that's what we're planning on doing. There's a lot of work that was put into it. There is some positions that were established. I know that Director Henderson was working on getting a place there in Gallup where if we hire someone soon, that we may place that individual there, was the thought. At the same time, as Dale West reported just a while ago, that there were some positions that were established, and we were able to secure a grant. Problem with this grant is it's only for 3 years, and it expires next year. So I think everything's completed. We are aiming to go forward with it, and we continue to talk with the Navajo Nation Department of Health to see if they could take this over, was the thought. From the outside, from the U.S. Attorney's Office side and the FBI, and even the Bureau of Indian Affairs, they're encouraging us to purge this program from the Navajo Division of Public Safety and Criminal Investigations too as well. So I'll have to add her with other projects too as well. But perhaps, like you were saying, Vice Chair, that if we had our own program in place, I know there's going to be a lot of cost savings to the Navajo Nation. Currently, we're paying a lot of money. The U.S. government is paying a lot of money too as well. So that is where it's at right now. But when we get this program going, get some positions in place, there is a proposal currently right now that the Madam Chair and myself are working on with the facilities, thanks to Dale West, in putting together a facilities component to the public safety judicial facilities, at least in 2 areas right now, which is Shiprock and in Window Rock. So that is the proposal, and I believe Dale did his report just a while ago. He put together a small summary that he put together. I'm not sure if you were able to share that with the committee, Dale, but that is what I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Director Delmar. Are there any other questions or comments at this time from committee members?
Madam Chair.
Vice Chair Otto So, the floor is yours.
Yes, I guess sounds like the program is working on these on this issue. I think from here out, I think we need a update probably every month until we get some major movements and relating to the criminal or this coroner issue, and that way we can just have a update on where they're at, who they met with, and so forth. And one of the concerns that I have now is that the Bureau of Indian Affairs wants to purge this from the Navajo Nation, and I think it's alluding to the 638 funding. But nonetheless, we need to start navigating through the process on this so that we could try to shed as much light to this and try to accomplish the goal is to create this office. The other is that although we can move forward from full force, and Director Delmar spoke to where we're going to put this at, and there's the option in Gallup, but I know that to get a facility, it's going to cost some money. But I think we need to start looking at all the other alternatives, such as maybe I'm not too sure if there's something like of that nature at the city of Gallup. I know there's one here and one there in Flagstaff, and maybe one thing to do is to start to maybe have a MOA with these coroners so that we can have these services available and try to bring the cost down. But other than that, it's going to be the same, and we won't be able to establish this office. The other is that the total amount that's required to have this program. What is the total cost? I know that we got some information a couple of years ago, but if Director Delmore and the criminal investigation can provide us that information, what is it going to totally cost to fund this? Because it's something that's needed. And then the other thing is if we're going to build a facility, and we know that Shiprock has a facility that is planned with the coroner's office. But what I'm getting to is that we really need to buckle down on this issue and try to find a way to alleviate a lot of the costs for now until the coroner position is funded. And then also, if the Navajo Nation does have this position, and if there's any federal dollars that's relating to autopsy costs, is that something that the Navajo Nation can intercept, and utilize like a separate proprietary account so that these dollars can go in there to help at the end of the year, whatever is generated, it could be utilized to actually fund some of the program there. So those are just some of my thoughts. And then the other is the conversation with our coroner that they're using now. Is there something that we could say that maybe utilizing their facilities through MOU or MOA, so that we could bring the cost down, where we have our own coroner and so forth, or could we just contract out to the coroner? But we have to make sure that we talk with the proper city government, or if it's a county government, or if it's a state government. We really need to sit down and talk with them so that we take care of this matter. That's all I have for now. Again, I appreciate your response. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Vice Chair. Are you finished with your questions and your comments, Vice Chair So?
Yes, I'm done with my comments or my questions.
Okay, thank you. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor back over to Director Delmar and to Investigator West.
Okay, let me go first, Dale. Just briefly summarizing the whole, or adding more comments. One more comment I have. Thank you for suggesting the federal government, Vice Chair. So one item that we talked about too was, since this is most of the time there are healthcare issues, we said that we'd like to have a sit down with Indian Health Services too. I'm pretty sure they have this component in their facilities, in their hospitals across the Navajo Nation. So we need to have that discussion. As far as facilities is concerned with the Indian Health Services, and also positions too as well, especially positions having to do with a medical investigator and also a pathologist. So that was one item I forgot to mention, Vice Chair. So let me, at this point in time, give it to Dale. Go ahead, Dale.
Yes, thank you, sir. So one of the things that is the biggest challenge with this program and getting it established is in talking about trying to cost save. I mean, the overall budget to start up the program within the Navajo Nation is going to be about $2.5 million. When we're looking at contracting with one state or another, Navajo Nation is unique in that it sits within 3 different states. Even if we were to contract with the OMI from one of the states, we still wouldn't be able to assign, they wouldn't be able to assign the death certificate if the death occurred in another state. So that's one of the challenges. We'd have to contract with all 3 states simultaneously, and in discussions with the OMIs, some are able to handle the duties. Actually, one of the 3 is, the other 2 are not able to meet the contract needs of what the Navajo Nation needs in order to function. When you're talking about taking care of Navajo people and Navajo interests on Navajo, the only reasonable idea is setting it up on Navajo. So, and then even in the discussions with IHS, one of the big challenges has been IHS does not have a coroner system. All the IHSs work with the state OMIs to address OMI and signing of the death certificates in suicide, homicide, accident, and undetermined deaths. So part of the problem with getting this program moving forward is just those kind of dynamics of interactions between tribal departments, state departments, and federal government. Even with the initial discussions of talking about this program going under the health department. The Navajo Nation Health Department has expressed some concerns in taking it because they've never operated or overseen or understand how to fully implement this kind of department and program or to provide appropriate oversight. So that's why you see criminal investigations running primary in trying to get this separated. Because the biggest problem we've always had is that the BIA, our contract that we have with them, the 638 contract, does not cover us to do coroner duties in that contract that was inherited through Navajo Nation, a Navajo Nation executive order from the Navajo Nation president, giving us those assigned duties. And in essence, we've had dual duties that no other investigator, special agent, detective has that role of responsibility other than Navajo Nation criminal investigators. So we really find ourselves in a unique situation and in trying to figure out what is the best and reasonable and responsible way to get this program separated, but doing in a way that benefits the Navajo Nation and benefits everyone as a whole. So that's why you'll continue to hear me advocating for establishing this program, the Navajo Department of Medical Examiners, because it is greatly needed program. And I think this will be something that will be really huge for the Navajo Nation in order to develop their own program to be able to offer services within the unique working environment within 3 states. So just some thoughts and some of the challenges that I've had to face, and I understand the frustration of why isn't there a whole lot of movement in developing this program. But it's not a simple or easy solution. There are very many pieces that go into this. So I hope that helps in understanding where we're coming from and how, we are going to be committed to trying to move this department forward and to get it separated. And it would be really neat to see a joint effort by all parties, but it's just a matter of, with everybody being busy, trying to bring everybody to the table has been a challenge as well. Thank you.
Thank you for that information, Dale. So with that, committee members, are there any other questions or comments at this time? Dale, I would like to ask you a question. What can the Law and Order Committee do right now to assist with this issue that's happening in terms of funding? Is it possible to use the funding that's already being sent out to OMI, both through the state of Arizona and New Mexico, to help supplement some of that salary for the medical examiner's position? Thank you, Dale.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Really, the main focus, because the monies for the grant are there, the biggest thing that we need is if we can get assurance in that 3-branch chief discussion as far as funding the medical examiners, that is the primary thing, because we've got people who are interested in maybe coming into the program, but they don't want to do it if it's not established, if it's only grant. If we have the assurances that it's going to be there in October of next year, then we can start working on a really strong push for positions leading up to that point. And if we get them on earlier, we can get them on under the grant and then transition them into the permanent positions when that funding is made available. The biggest challenge, that's really what it comes down to, is being able to establish that. Because everything else is in place. We just can't get the personnel because nobody wants to come over being under a grant because it's unstable. We're talking about attracting people with a specific skill set that initially we may have to pull from off-res until we can work with the scholarship office to develop people from the Navajo Nation to go through college level degrees, get the need to bring that skill set back to the nation. So this is still a very, very new program. But the big thing is just ensuring that funding in place, because that's creating a lot of instability with not being able to move the department forward. Thank you. I hope that helps, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dale. That does help. I guess in a lot of ways, I think it is important that these conversations happen before the three branch agreements are put into place. I believe Vice Chair Otto So is always talking about how that's really not part of it's not part of any law. And so when the three branch chiefs come together, they say that this is going to be our budget and we're going to stay within that budget. And so it makes sense when Vice Chair Otto So argues, what's the point of going through the budget session if the budget has already been decided? So we can certainly try to assist with that part of what needs to happen. I think I'd like to schedule a separate meeting so that we can, maybe go through and list some steps that need to be completed. I'm a box, checking off the box type of person. And so I have, those, lists that are created for different issues that I'm going down. So I think we'll just go ahead and we'll schedule a separate meeting with you all, Dale, so that we can, create a list of things that need to be done and then start, checking them off as we get them done. But I appreciate the information. Is there anything from DPM, the Division of Personnel Management, that needs to be completed?
Yes, Madam Chair. We're just waiting for them to finish the reassessment on the pay scale for the medical examiners. So once that's done, we can make those re-advertised for that position. And when you're talking about having another meeting to address this, what I'd recommend is not only Division of Public Safety, Law and Order Committee, but we need to have representatives from Department of Health, Department of Personal Management, IHS, and even a recommendation of the OMIs from the three different states to provide their input. So we can approach it from all the different aspects and everybody get a clear understanding of all the challenges that we face in trying to address this issue. That may help bring everybody on the same page, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that, Dale. Lorraine, I believe when I put this on the agenda, I asked that you also put DPM on the agenda as well. Are they on the line?
Madam Chair, Rosita Toddy was on the line earlier, but I don't see her right now. Thank you.
Let's get DPM on the line right now, and let's find out. Let's find out what the timeline is for getting this completed, and then also what the holdup is, so we can get DPM on the line.
Madam Chair?
Vice Chair Otto So, go ahead.
One thing that I want to allude to is that we know that public safety is part of the 638 contract, and we know that the health also is something that is provided by Indian Health Services or through 630 in the form of 630 contract. And the trust responsibility that the federal government has on Indian tribes. And I think we need to have a discussion pertaining to this. How does the coroner position ties into the trust and treaty responsibility, because it talks about the health, talks about the public safety, and this issue here, I think we really need to also get the players together, and maybe we need to start that request from the federal government for this position, because the Indian Health Service budget formulation was going on about about 2 weeks ago. And my thinking is this position, the coroner's position, should be part of the Indian Health Facility or Indian Health Services budget formulation, so that we, somewhere we could put these dollars into the budget formulation, so a coroner position could be funded, and through a form of a 638 contract, because it does meet the trust and treaty responsibility. And maybe we could get dialogue from the Attorney General's office, Department of Justice, see how we could navigate through this. One way is to I know we did go to Washington and a couple of times and lobby our Congress and Congresswoman out there, so that that they know that this is the need. I know that we traveled there with Director Delmar and former police chief, and then Mr. Director Del West, and our advocacy there at the federal level to try to shed light to Congress that we need this very important program. Also, I think it requires the conversation from the Bureau of Indian Affairs to be part of that too, because they oversee the 638 contract from for public safety criminal investigation, and we really need to have that dialogue with them. That's just one of my thoughts, and but down to the trust and treaty responsibility, I believe that the coroner position and the coroner's office be a 638 contract, so that funding could be allocated annually by the federal government for this important position, or for this important office. It's well needed. The Navajo Nation's population has increased, and yes, we're sending them to these existing coroner's office that are there, whether it's in Utah, whether it's in the state of New Mexico or the state of Arizona. But I'm sure they have they have a waiting list. They have people in line there that and they're trying to meet the need. And I think it's very important that if the Navajo Nation provides that through the 630 contract, we could do that here. Then the other is the death certificate. If it's formed on Navajo, and we have only one facility for it, say we build it in Shiprock. Well, it sounds like if it occurred, autopsy occurred in New Mexico, Arizona may not sign off. So that dialogue needs to begin, because death certificates need to be signed. So therefore, I think that it's something that we need to look at and argue on the best of, or advocate on the side or on behalf that it meets the trust and treaty responsibility. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Vice Chair Otto. So right now we have been arguing that there should be a 638 contract in place for this position. One of the issues that we did run into in 2019 and 2020 was the data or the statistics that were being submitted. We couldn't understand why the numbers were so low, but what we found out later on, Law and Order Committee members, is that the Indian Health Services was only counting deaths that occurred in their hospital that were natural deaths, whereas criminal investigations covers all forms of death, so natural deaths that occur at home, homicide, vehicular, deaths that may occur on the road, where IHS wasn't covering those, wasn't counting those types of deaths. So we are putting that information together. We are working with, and also Representative O'Halloran, Senator Henrich, and then Senator Kelly, who are interested in seeing those numbers as well. Although there has been this back and forth, that the language needs to be created, needs to be congressional language that needs to be created to have this covered by Indian Health Services. There seems to be a I don't want to say pushback, but there seems to be information out there that may not be true. So we have been working, and that was something that I go to DC to see if we can start having those types of conversations. At this point, we are in the preliminary stages of gathering data based on the information that's provided by criminal investigators and those that are being sent down by Health Services in scheduling a meeting with Rosalind Stone. So I think we might have to pull India Hess into this conversation, because the emails that I get from her assistant is usually giving me a few hours heads up. Like he'll come back and say, Ms. Doe has got an opening at 3 o'clock today. Can you take it? Unfortunately, as we know as delegates, we're not always, constantly, like right now we're on Law and Order Committee. I haven't looked at my text messages, or I haven't looked at my email because we're on Law and Order Committee meeting. So it has been somewhat of a challenge, but I do agree with Dale that we do need to bring everybody, to the forefront to have this conversation. So I guess in that same line of thought here, do we have DPM on the line, Lorraine?
Madam Chair, this is Racita. Can you hear me?
Yes, Ms. Toddy. If you can go ahead and tell us the timeline for getting this issue addressed, and then what the hiccups are. It seems like there's always something going on at DPM, and I just don't understand, what the issue is. So if you can explain to us what's happening there at DPM with the medical examiner's position. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the Law and Order Committee. In terms of our timelines, we did meet with Mr. Henderson as well as some of the other commanders regarding another issue, but the main one we did talk with was Mr. Henderson regarding the issue with the pay. And I'd like to, or we have begun looking at the current pay, but I'd like to schedule a meeting with Mr. West to get additional information. I know from the onset, what he did was he provided us with information on some of the areas that they did survey at the time. So he provided that information, and we did complete our own, and based on that is how the pay grades were assigned. Currently, the medical examiner is assigned a pay grade of 74, which is a salary range from 121,000 to 897,000, with a range up to the maximum of 168,887 dollars and 12 cents. So that was for the medical examiner. And we are still compiling the information. And in terms of timelines, I'm hoping hopefully to get the responses by the second week, hopefully by January 14th, so that we could present. But if I could get a date and time to schedule a meeting to discuss this further with Mr. West, then I think we can progress a little faster in the time with the timeline. You did ask or about things that are going on here at DPM. We are currently working on the Fiscal Recovery Fund program also, so that's been taking up a lot of our time, and we're also continuing to work on positions with other departments and divisions. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Ms. Toddy. So with that, committee members, are there any other questions or comments at this time? Not hearing anything, we're going to go ahead and proceed forward to accepting the report provided to us by Division Director Jesse Delmar and Criminal Investigator Dale West. Mr. Rowell, can you assist us with roll call vote, please?
Yeah, Mr. Leonard, I'll do the roll call. Honorable Vince James, how do you vote? Honorable Vince James, how do you vote? Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote? Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote?
Vote carries, Joe.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Otto So, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Otto So votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote? Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote? Honorable Vince James, how do you vote?
Honorable Vince James.
Honorable Vince James. Go ahead. Go ahead, Lorraine.
Yes.
Hello?
Honorable Vince James votes green through
Okay.
via text. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Madam Chair, I voted 3 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you for that, Mose. Thank you for assisting us here today. So with that, committee members, 3 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 not voting. That's the chair. 1 who is absent. That's Honorable Edmund Yazzie. So with that, committee members, the report has been provided. Lorraine, let's go ahead and schedule this on the Law and Order Committee agenda after the 14th so we can get an update on where this is at, and we want to try to push it along. So after January 14th, let's put it on the next Law and Order Committee agenda. Let's call back DPM, criminal investigation, so we can get an update on this from the Navajo Nation's end. Thank you. Committee members, we are now at item number 6, old business. There is none. Item number 7, new business. We do have on the agenda discussion on assigning a special prosecutor. Committee members, just as a I guess background of this discussion, the Law and Order Committee was called out through the various news, Navajo Times, Daily Times, and I believe it was Gallup Independent, in terms of the request that has been made for a special prosecutor to investigate what is happening with the controller, and then also what is happening with the funds that have been given to the Navajo Nation. The request was put out there on on these news outlets. And I did submit an email asking, how we go about assigning a special prosecutor. My reason for asking this question is because right now, if you look at the 164B, I guess that's the process, the signatures that are on that document are reflected from Department of Justice and then also the President's office. And I think the issue that has come up is there a conflict, since Department of Justice did approve the process, whether there's a conflict that exists with them in doing the investigation. I believe Delegate Elmer Begay requested several times during the debate in removing former Controller Perlina Kirk, that a special prosecutor be assigned. I did get a response back from our Office of Legislative Counsel, and one of the issues that was raised is who is going to pay for this special prosecutor. I think that because it's the people's money, that we should, at the very least, present this issue to the council and have the council vote on how they want to handle the matter, which is why this discussion issue has been brought forth and is on the Law and Order Committee agenda. The committee can choose to motion and second to have this discussion in terms of whether we want to sponsor a legislation requesting a special prosecutor be assigned with the CARES funding, or whether the committee does not want to motion and second and doesn't want to bring this issue to the forefront. So with that, it is on the agenda. And the reason, again, is as chairwoman for the Law and Order Committee, it was brought to my attention, again, through the various newspapers that were calling out the committee specifically, asking the Law and Order Committee whether we should proceed forward, whether council should be requesting a special prosecutor. And that does fall in line with what the Law and Order Committee has been tasked with. So with that, committee members, can I get a motion and a second?
Madam Chair, I'm going to go ahead and motion.
Motion made by Honorable Otto So. Can I get a second? Second call for a second regarding the discussion on assigning a special prosecutor for the CARES money. Second made by Honorable Vince James. So with that, committee members, I would like to ask, do we have Dana Bobroff on the line?
Madam Chair, I'm on the line.
Thank you, Ms. Bobroff, for being on the line. Ms. Bobroff, can you explain to us how we proceed forward with a special prosecutor in regards to the CARES money, specifically what is happening in terms of the Office of the President and Vice President, and also Department of Justice being a part of this money, and how the Law and Order Committee can move forward in requesting a legislation to move forward to council to vote on assigning a special prosecutor?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm really surprised that this report is on your agenda today. I'm not particularly prepared because nobody told me it would be on the agenda. I would be expected to report. And as you recall, when you requested a special prosecutor investigation, you asked that it be kept private and not shared with others. So first question is, I am presuming that's no longer a request of yours to keep it private and not shared?
Yes.
Okay. As I explained to you previously and the others that you included in your email, there is a very specific special prosecutor statute that lists very specific steps and responsibilities. And it is not the council that requests the special prosecutor. That and I did just forward the statute to the committees, to the committee. As you will see in 2 NC 2021, it speaks that the Attorney General or Chief Legislative Counsel shall conduct a preliminary investigation whenever that official is referred from the Navajo Nation Council information sufficient to constitute grounds to investigate whether any person has committed a violation of any federal or state criminal law or any law or regulation of the Navajo Nation, or committed any act upon which the Navajo Nation may have a civil cause of action. After the Chief Legislative Counsel, myself, has been provided information sufficient to constitute grounds to investigate whether there's been a violation of any federal or state criminal law or regulation of the Navajo Nation. I then will conduct a investigation, which we have attempted to start, but as I've pointed out in the emails, I have not gotten sufficient information from those requesting the investigation. After that investigation is completed, then if there is sufficient information, then I apply to the special court, the special division of the Window Rock District Court for appointment of a special prosecutor. Once that is completed, then it's essentially the special division that oversees the special prosecutor. The one thing that is necessary from the council, as I brought up to your attention, is the funding. Essentially, that would be most likely UUFB funding. You did just mention, I noticed something about using CARES funding. I'll certainly look into that, but I do not think that that would be allowable. And keep in mind that also your request was also to investigate the donation fund, and certainly need more information on why we're investigating that. So that's what I have right now. If there is to be a legislation, it would be for supplemental funding, most likely UUFB. That would need to go across the street to the president unless the legislative branch wish to rebudget some of its funds that it has also received. If it's done that way, then you don't need legislation, and those funds can be rebudgeted within the legislative branch. The one thing that I did point out as far as the use of the donations fund, what would be extremely helpful is, aside from an articulation of what the alleged crime is, a audit by the office, audit through the Office of the Auditor General would be most helpful. Whether additional funds are needed for that, or whether the Auditor General can fit that within her audit plan. I don't have that information right now. Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'm certainly ready to take more detailed questions.
Thank you for that, Ms. Bobroff. And just to be clear, I don't think I said to use CARES money for the to pay the special prosecutor. I said the use of CARES money to investigate the use of the CARES money. So I guess, Ms. Bobroff, my question would be, since the request is to have the Office of the President and Vice President investigated, and the Department of Justice and their involvement, how do we, is there something that council can do to bypass where DOJ makes the recommendation, since there would obviously be a conflict since the investigation would be involving Department of Justice?
Madam Chair, thank you. That's a good question, but it's very clearly answered in the first part of the statute that I sent you. 2021A states the Attorney General or Chief Legislative Counsel. So the Attorney General is not necessary for this investigation, which if you're investigating that office, makes sense. That investigation will be handled under Chief Legislative Counsel. Thank you, Madam Chair.
So just for clarification, Ms. Bobroff, you can request the investigation. Is that right?
Madam Chair, the way the statute reads, I shall conduct preliminary investigation after I have received information sufficient to constitute grounds to investigate whether whether there has been a violation of a federal or state or tribal statute or regulation. And as of now, what I have all that I have received concerning the investigation into the controller is that DOJ did a 164 review of the contract that is the subject to the controller's charges. However, that is part of the court documents. So I'm hoping that you can provide more information, particularly information why that is not something that will be handled in the litigation, and why a special prosecutor would be needed. We have to be very careful. You would have to proceed very carefully to ensure that there's no prosecutorial interference. As far as the investigation of the donation fund, I have received no information as to what violation would be investigated. So once I receive that information, then we will proceed to try to compile the information necessary to make a determination as to whether we will go forth to the special division of the Window Rock District Court. And when I say we, I mean the Chief Legislative Counsel, whether I will make that recommendation. And as I told you earlier, I have contracted with former Chief Legislative Counsel to do the investigation and advise me on whether the information gathered is sufficient. But as I go back to, no specific information has been provided to me to forward to him. So that's the way the process works. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Ms. Barbara, I'm a little bit confused. So we cannot interfere with the prosecutorial investigation, but we are required to provide proof to ask for a special prosecutor. So per my email, how does a delegate investigate to bring proof to request on behalf of the people that a special prosecutor be assigned?
Well, Madam Chair, certainly, as I explained in my email to you, what we need is documents you're relying on to state that a crime was committed, information, if I'm presuming much information comes from other employees, if and they provide the delegates information. We need that information. We need identification of those employees so we can talk to them and find out how they're getting their information. Certainly before these allegations, or certainly as far as these allegations go, the committee and the delegates are relying more than on just the newspaper reporters, I'm sure. So any information you have along those lines would be helpful.
Thank you for that, Ms. Barbara. So at this point, my understanding is we can only rely on the documents that have been released to the public. Because information was released to us in executive session, we cannot use that information. And what I worry about is if we do bring employees forward to go on the record to talk about what's going on, how is that not interfering with the investigation? I guess I just need some clarification on what a delegate has to do to provide, I guess, proof or documentation that a crime has been committed without interfering with the investigation or the prosecutorial investigation.
Madam Chair, you've misinterpreted my words. What I said was bringing on, we have to be careful when bringing on or requesting a special prosecutor that we are not interfering in the investigation. As far as discussing with Office of Legislative Counsel where they got the information, that will be protected and will not be shared and will just be part of what we use in determining whether there is sufficient evidence. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that, Ms. Barbara. I'm just trying to, I guess, as a delegate, I know that there has been a lot of questions, and you are correct. I did submit an email regarding the special prosecutor, and then on the record, on the floor, I did request an investigation be done in terms of the donation. So they're two separate issues. In terms of the special prosecutor being brought in, that's more or less the CARES money that was distributed to the Navajo Nation. The Department of Justice was involved in that, so I'm just worried that there's going to be a conflict in that they're doing the investigation and they're part of the issue that happened. In terms of the donation, you know, that has been it is a issue that does need to be resolved. I guess for me, it is important because the Law and Order Committee was called out, and as chairwoman for Law and Order Committee, we have to address these questions that come out from the public. And it is a delicate issue because there has been some information released. I think it was on Facebook. One delegate went to Facebook and released information on what was I guess just what was happening. And so, I'm just trying to figure out, how do we restore or maybe even ensure that there is a fair investigation happening, so that our people don't come back and say that we are trying to cover up something. My understanding with the what happened with the funds that were given to delegates, what were they called? The discretionary funds, was that at that time council didn't want an investigation done. And so, and it was President's office and then also DOJ that pushed for it. But in this case, President's office and DOJ is involved in this as well. So what can we do as council? Can we change the law where in this situation where the President's office and Department of Justice are part of the investigation, that council can request a special prosecutor in that case? Thank you.
Madam Chair, as I tried to explain, it is not council that requests the special prosecutor. That's not the way the statute is. The statute is drafted, has been approved, has been in place for a long time. The way it works is once there is sufficient information provided to the Chief Legislative Council after we have done an investigation, if there is specific evidence that is sufficient to refer it to the special division of the Window Rock Court, we will do that. The starting point for any investigation is to have clearly articulated charges or grounds for the investigation. So that's what we're hoping for here. As far as Facebook posts, I won't do my investigation based on Facebook posts. They're just inherently unreliable. I would need something much more formal. As I said, I don't know what the exact allegations are concerning the donation funds. I haven't actually heard those articulated. But if there are some concerns, I would, as I did earlier, recommend that an audit be completed. It seems reasonable that the Office of the Auditor General would be the appropriate entity to do that audit. So it is not it's not the council that asks for the special prosecutor. It's not the president. It is essentially Office of Legislative Counsel. Once we have compiled sufficient information, we will request the special division of the Window Rock District Court to appoint a special prosecutor if they believe that the information is sufficient. Then they will do so, and they will oversee the investigation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Committee members, are there any other questions or comments at this time?
Madam Chair, this is Vice Chair.
Vice Chair, go ahead, Otto. So,
Yes, with the recommendation and the preliminary process, I believe that Legislative Council has indicated that documents needs to be provided or forward to our legislative chief counsel or to the office of, or to the attorney general to look at preliminary to conduct a preliminary investigation to see if any wrongdoing has occurred. But what I'm getting to is that I guess she has Dana Barbaroff has laid out the process, and if this is a concern here, the information needs to be presented to that office. And the other thing also is the Office of Auditor General. And the Office of Auditor General can, as another option, to audit the donation funds, see where the funds have went, or where have they been utilized, and where they're at. But there are people inquiring on it. But yes, I do agree that it would need formal requests so that this type of this can happen. And if we decide to go through the auditing, we have to identify some money so that the audit can be conducted on that particular fund. That way, an audit would turn out how the funds were used and where they were utilize that. And the auditing also, I believe there's different forms of auditing. And as a forensic audit to be requested, we really need to get that information so that to identify where we could get funds to pay for this audit, because eventually someone's going to have to pay for this audit, and whether it's through UUFB request or the other, Dana has indicated that we could reallocate money to within the program so that we could get this audit taken care of, because the audit will actually cost money. And determining on that, we don't know how long the process is. So that is just my general comment and my taking of this of what Chief Legislative Counsel has provided to this standing committee. I appreciate it. Yeah, go on mute.
Thank you for that, Vice Chair Otto. So I was just trying to get clarification of what the oversight can do at this point, and it sounds like we cannot do anything that lies in the hands of Department of Justice and Office of Legislative Counsel. So with that, committee members, are there any other questions or comments?
Madam Chair.
Vice Chair Otto, so go ahead.
Yes, and basically that's what I was trying to allude to. That the committee oversight committee can't do anything. But one of my thoughts is, who is overlooking these funds, and the Office of Attorney General is looking over these funds. My thinking now is, how did the Attorney General's office became the oversight of those funds? Because those are funds that were donated, and I think there may have been legislation to create the fund management plan and so forth, and I think it goes back to that also. If the fund management plan indicates that the Department of Justice is overseeing those funds, that would clearly put the office of the Attorney General's office in conflict because they're the oversight. If they're the oversight of those funds. So with that, I think moving forward with an audit on those particular funds would be in order, but we would have to try to look for some money to try to pay for that audit. That's just my thought and my comment. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Committee members, are there any other questions or comments at this time?
Madam Chair, this is Ms. Bobroff. Can I make a suggestion?
Yes, Ms. Bobroff, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Actually, helpful if the Law and Order Committee were to request to the Chair of the Budget and Finance Committee that the Auditor General do an audit of the donation fund. I think that would be a good starting point, and the Budget and Finance Committee is is oversight of the Auditor General's and does approve their audit plan. So a request from the Law and Order Committee to the Budget and Finance Committee might be a way to start things. As part of our my preliminary investigation into the donation fund, I did make a request for the DOJ's report on the donation fund. They said it wasn't finished yet, but that they believed it would be coming out directly. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for providing that information on the donation, Ms. Bobroff. Committee members, are there any other questions or comments at this time?
Madam Chair, that's it.
Honorable Eugene So, the floor is yours.
I would make a motion for that Dana and any motion they should I need but in the argo. I need to go to the grinding stone, as to say. Make a motion. Thank you.
Honorable Eugene So, is your motion to have the committee write a letter to Budget and Finance regarding the donation and the Auditor General?
Oh, could I read us? Could I deal us?
Okay, so let's go ahead and let's finish out this report. We can go ahead and make that motion after we already have a motion and a second on the floor for the report. So what we can do is after we vote on the report, we can go ahead and do a motion possibly for a, I don't want to say a directive, but maybe just a joint letter, or not a joint letter, but a letter on behalf of Law and Order Committee to be drafted to Budget and Finance to ask this request regarding the donation. Oh,
Abiga, in the great English, so because I'm not doing it, there's some spots where I can go into no zone. So just bear with me. I've got almost a few minutes to get there. Thank you.
Oh, and I don't think we need a motion. I think we can, if the committee's in agreement to draft this letter to Budget and Finance asking for an audit to be done on the donation funds, I think we can go in and we can proceed forward with that. Committee members, I'll go ahead and ask you that question after we vote on the report. But based on the information that has been provided to us here by Ms. Bobroff, are there any other questions or comments on the report or on the discussion?
This is Delegate James.
Honorable Vince James, the floor is yours.
Here is another other members of LLC, Dana, legal counsel. In regards to the documentation, I request of form that you probably generated at your office to fill out for us to move forward, looking into the matters, and then also the documentations. What kind of documentations that you're requesting just to start the investigation from your office? Be my questions and my recommendation. Thank you, Sonali.
Yeah, Shanella, Vice Chair James. So I'm sorry, Delegate James. Ms. Bobroff?
Thank you. Actually, I will speak with, as I mentioned earlier, I had asked outside counsel Ray Etzedy, former Chief Legislative Counsel, to oversee the investigation for the Office of Legislative Counsel. So I will speak with Mr. Etzedy and ask him to provide the delegates with a detailed explanation of the information that he's in need of to jumpstart the process. I'll have him try to get that out to you in the next couple of days. I am also sending the committee a copy of the donation fund management plan. And as you will see on that one, and I'm sending it right now, or I'm trying to, if you take a look at it, you will see that it is actually the Emergency Management Commission, or Commission on Emergency Management, who actually makes a determination as to how the donation funds are spent. My understanding here is that it is while Department of Justice oversaw the collection of the donation, or actually the recording of the donations, and ensured that the donors received the appropriate tax information so they could utilize their donations. So Department of Justice was responsible for recording the donations, making sure all that was right. But department, it is the Commission on Emergency Management that makes a determination as to how those dollars are expended. But I did send you just now sent a copy of that fund management plan, so you can read through it at your leisure. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that. Are there any other questions or comments at this time? Honorable Vice Vince James.
In regards to the response from legal counsel, I'd like to make that request that this item stays on the agenda for our next LOC. We get that document to legal chief, and we can discuss that. I'd like to make that recommendation, and then also possibly make a motion if I'm in order to defer this item to our next regular LOC committee meeting. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Delegate James. So with that, committee members, there's a motion to defer this item on the agenda to the next Law and Order Committee meeting so that we can get a little bit more information. So with that, the motion has been made by Delegate Vince James. Since this motion has been made, we do not take a vote on accepting the report. We do take a vote to defer it to the next Law and Order Committee meeting. So with that, committee members, the motion has been made. Can I get a second?
Vice Chair will second that.
Is that a substitute motion or?
No, it's a motion to defer this item, to stop the discussion and defer it to the next Law and Order Committee meeting.
Well, is there a motion already for the report?
There is a motion on the floor for the report, but the motion to defer it to the next Law and Order Committee meeting is basically like a motion to table. So in the past, we have accepted those motions. And what it means is we're not going to vote on accepting the report. We're going to go ahead and put it on the next Law and Order Committee meeting so we can get some more information and continue our conversation at the next Law and Order Committee meeting. Delegate Eugene So. So we have a motion made by Honorable Vince James, second by Vice Chair Otto So, and this is to stop the discussions and to defer this topic to the next Law and Order Committee meeting. So with that, Mose, can you assist us with the roll call vote on this? Thank you.
Yes, Madam Chair. Honorable Vince James, how do you vote?
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Otto So.
I vote green.
Honorable Otto So votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazzie. Honorable Edmund Yazzie. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So. Madam Chair, I voted 2 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you for that, Mose. So with a vote of 2 in favor, 0 opposed, Chair not voting, the motion is hereby accepted and does pass. We'll go ahead and proceed forward to the next item on the agenda. Just to be clear, the request that Honorable Eugene So made, in that we send an email or send an official letter on behalf of the Law and Order Committee to Budget and Finance, requesting that the Auditor General do an audit on the donation funds. We'll go ahead and proceed forward with that since there was no objections to writing this letter. So with that, we are now at item number 8, close of the meeting. Before I call for a motion to adjourn, I would like to ask, are there any announcements at this time? Not hearing anything. Mose, can you assist us with the roll call vote? Oh, I'm sorry. Can I get a motion and a second to adjourn?
Motion, Delegate James.
Motion to adjourn made by Delegate Vince James. Can I get a second?
Second by Otto So.
Second by Vice Chair Otto So. So with that, committee members, Mose, can you assist us with the roll call vote, please?
Yes, ma'am. Honorable Vince James, how do you vote?
Delegate James votes green. Thank you.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Eugene So.
Can you guys hear me now? Vote green.
Yes, sir, we hear you. Thank you, sir. Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Otto So.
I vote green.
Honorable Otto So votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazzie. Honorable Edmund Yazzie. Madam Chair, I voted 3 in favor, 0 opposed, adjourned at 1:19 p.m.
Thank you for that, Mose, and thank you, committee members. Happy holidays. Be safe out there. Enjoy time with the family, and we will all meet back in January in the new year. So be safe out there, committee members. Hagona. Mose, did you guys hear me? Hello?
Yes, Madam Chairman. Have a good day, Madam Chairman.
Okay, just making sure that people heard me. So we are adjourned at 1:19. Be safe out there, everybody. I'm gonna.
Oh. Oh no.